Hi. Hey, y'all. So I'm not using that weird streaming service tonight. If y'all were here last night, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It was so cringy when I got off and saw how blurry it was. And oh my God, I'm so sorry. I tried to fix that video 10 times. I couldn't. So last night, if you were here, we talked about wanting to lose weight. What do you first do when you want to lose weight? So if you don't know who I am and this video happens to get shared, please share this video. This is such incredible awareness around weight loss because I am giving y'all action steps. By the end of this series, you'll be able to go through and plug yourself into the action steps and figure out for you what is going to work best or better for you than dieting, okay? So if you are new here, my name is Brianne Bear. I lost 120 pounds starting in November of 2018. I hit my goal in July of 2021. And so that was about 2.5 years. And I've been maintaining it for however long, a year and a half now. I think my timelines might be a little off, but I know it took me 2.5 years to lose 120 pounds, almost 3 years actually. So naturally, I did not have, I did use supplements here and there, but it was natural. Okay. And I have nothing against anyone that ends up getting bypass surgery or any kind of sleeves or anything like that. I think however you need to get to your goal is however you need to get to your goal. I am just here to educate you and show you why dieting in particular does not work and why you may be struggling because you're dieting and you're noticing I'm not losing the weight. What is going on here? Anyone ever been in that position where you're trying to lose weight? You keep restricting and doing diets, maybe Weight Watchers. There's all kinds of different diets out there. Keto, low carb, and I did keto and low carb. Y'all know that. But what I found is I ended up binging. On the weekends, I would do really, really well all week. And then on the weekends, I would binge, or after a fast, I would end up binging. And I got to this place where I was like, okay, I know I can lose weight. I know I can do this without being strict keto, without doing this insane 72-hour fasting that I'm doing. And so I created this framework, if you will, one step at a time, tested it for over a year. And that is what I'm giving to y'all here. I'm actually kind of showing you my framework, if you will, for free. You're welcome. So share this out with someone who's also trying to lose weight. I have notes over here so that I stay on track. So yesterday, go back to that one and watch it if you want. The better version is on my Instagram. If you go to Girl Stop Dieting on Instagram, the better version of yesterday's video, it just comes in clearer. So yesterday we decided we want to lose weight. And I explained to you the metaphor of weight loss when you're just kind of band-aiding it. And I used a Drano metaphor. That's why I'm pouring over here. So if you think about it, you have a piece of metal stuck in your bathroom sink in the drain, but you keep pouring Drano on it. You don't know exactly what's in the drain. You're pouring Drano on all the time. And every single day you're pouring the Drano on, nothing's happening. Maybe a little water gets through. That's the 1-2 pounds of water weight, right? Maybe you try the little snake thing or you try a plunger. That's the products that you're using to try and lose weight. And nothing really happens. You might get a little bit of progress, but within a couple of days, the sink is completely full again and you're at square one. That is so much like weight loss. And the Drano is the dieting and the restricting, and the other things are the products, okay? So why don't diets work? Today, we've decided we're starting a diet, okay? So I'm starting a diet today, and here's the ones we usually go with. So we usually go with Weight Watchers. Now, why does something like Weight Watchers not work? Weight Watchers is probably one of the more decent diets. Now, I don't think any of them are great, but Weight Watchers is one of the more decent ones that I find people are able to kind of stick to the longest, but I promise you nobody's going to stick to Weight Watchers for life. They're just not one size fits all. So you may have someone who is ADHD, for example, or who just has a really hard time focusing. How are you going to get someone to count points all of the time if they can't even focus on, very simple tasks like going grocery shopping? Like, it's hard for us to go grocery shopping with ADHD. It's hard. My husband always says, like, oh, she must have saw something shiny in there. If I go into the store by myself, I'm in there for 2 hours. Because, yeah, you just never know what you can find. There's so many, so many things to lose focus on in a grocery store. Am I right? Yes, yes. Okay. So there's other diets out there, right? Like keto, low carb. It may be hard for people that aren't doing, that don't do well with tracking. You need to track keto at first, at least for a couple weeks. And if people are going to have a hard time remaining consistent with that, that's going to be hard for them. It's not one size fits all either, because a lot of these diets go by calories. So it'll be like a generic, okay, eat 1,500 calories. Here's your food groups that you can pick from, or here's the food list that you can pick from. Here's how many points each food is. Stick with this 1,500 calories, but your basal metabolic rate as a larger person may actually be 1,800 calories. Who knows? Depending on how tall you are, like how your body is, you don't know your basal metabolic rate. Nobody knows. The apps don't tell you your real metabolic rate, just so y'all know that. It goes by your height and weight. But if you have a slowed down metabolism, or if you have a sped up metabolism, or if you just don't know unless you actually go get it tested somewhere. So it is never one size fits all. And oftentimes we can end up kind of screwing our metabolism up by restricting too much with diets like keto, low carb, Weight Watchers. See, one thing is with keto is you're in a calorie deficit. And so, yeah, you may go into ketosis, but essentially the reason you're losing weight is because you're still in a calorie deficit. If you go in and you pick keto in FitnessPal or whatever it is, Carb Manager, you're inputting a calorie deficit. So you're losing weight because you're burning more than you're ingesting. So why do keto? You don't need the ketosis to burn fat, y'all. All right. So it's just never one size fits all. And I want you to think about it like this. Counting macros isn't going to work for everyone. Weighing food isn't going to work for everyone. A lot of these things, we are too busy in today's day and age, or we're just too preoccupied with other things. We don't want to weigh our food. We don't want to count macros. We don't want to do all that extra work. We just want it to be simple. We want it to be easy. And then think about like if someone is an extremist. So I don't know if my link is showing up. Can someone say hello and see if the comments are working? I'm hoping. Oh, tap the show button to feature this link. I think it might be showing. If you see a link that says, what is your diet alter ego? If you go take that little quiz, you just put in your name and email so it has somewhere to send the results. You will get a result. You'll be like either Extreme Emily, Mindless Mary, Careful Kathy. There's 5 of them. And you'll get your diet type. Diet alter ego, if you will. So we all have like this regular person, how we regularly eat, but then we also have like this other side of us, right? When we go on a diet, we just like act totally out of character. It's like a freaking Snickers commercial. We don't know how to be, we don't know how to act, because we're hungry. We're on a diet and we're hungry. And so go check out what your alter ego is, because some people go into extremes. You would be an extreme Emily in that case. And you may take fasting too far. If you go on a restrictive diet and part of it is like, okay, I'm going to intermittent fast and do keto. Some people take fasting way too far and they're ingesting like 500 calories a day because they're doing the OMAD, the 1 meal a day. Well, if you end up ingesting 500 calories a day, you are significantly lowering your energetic input, and therefore your body basically says, like, you don't go, it's not necessarily starvation mode, but your body is going to adjust to your intake. And so what it has to do is everything kind of slows down. And so you're not going to burn fat. And it's just like, that's when they say slowing your metabolism, essentially that's what they mean. Your metabolism is going to try to adjust based on like how you're eating. So that's why it's important to eat in like regular increments. You don't want to have these long spans in between when you're eating, because if you think about it, it's like feeding gas to a car. If you continue to starve a car of gas, like eventually it's going to quit, right? You think about it like that. The second thing is people can actually have side effects when they go on a diet. So if you go on keto or any lifestyle, you can actually suffer with electrolyte imbalances. So that's another reason they can become dangerous. People end up passing out, people get dizzy, stuff like that, because they've gone on a diet and it's far too restrictive for them. And again, a lot of people go to these extremes, like an extreme Emily would, and they end up with electrolyte imbalances. Like their potassium is super low. That can affect your heart, the rhythms in your heart, the firing that happens. You can have arrhythmias. Your magnesium might get low. And here's the thing. When we diet, our magnesium, especially as women, is almost always going to be depleted. And when our magnesium depletes, our stress levels go up. We're not sleeping as well. Regular processes in our body are not firing like they're supposed to be without magnesium. B12 and magnesium are so freaking important for our bodies, especially like that time of the month. And we are often deficient. And so it's causing all these issues for us. We think it's all this other stuff. We're just not eating enough. We're not getting the nutrients we need, and supplementing isn't the same. Supplementing magnesium when you're eating 400 calories a day, not the same, okay? It's just not going to work. You need nutrition. I almost never realized like how important nutrition was until my 30s. I abused my body either with starvation. I was either starving or I was so incredibly over like eating. Such disordered. Like I went from eating disorders, y'all, to disordered eating quick in a hurry. There was really no period in between. Because I went from eating disorder to pregnancy. And then from pregnancy, back to eating disorder, back to disordered eating, pregnancy, disordered eating. Like, it was like back and forth between eating disorder, and I did not quit my eating disorder until I was like 22 years old. My son was like 3 or 4 years old. It was right before I met my husband. When I did Weight Watchers that last time, that was when I finally ended the bulimia. Okay? So when you have a restriction-based diet, also, it causes these feelings of food scarcity. And this is going to be the biggest one, especially if you go take that quiz and you get a bingy Bridget. This is probably why you're binging. When you go on a diet, I want you to think about it like this. Let's say you're doing, just a moderate calorie deficit or something. And your breakfast is like egg whites and spinach and a couple slices of bacon. Okay, or like an omelet and a couple pieces of bacon. That's cool, but you're not eating very much. It's a 1 egg omelet. Like, okay. And then for lunch, you have a Caesar salad. Chicken, you put the croutons on still, but it's like a small Caesar salad. And you might have like a Diet Coke with it and some fruit for dessert. And then for dinner, you have like a chicken and rice stir fry. But again, your portion size is about the size of your fist for all of these meals. So you're like, no, I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I'm good. I had protein in them, right? I had some fiber in there. I'm good. I didn't eat too many carbs today. No added sugar in any of it. I'm set. But your portion sizes were like way too small. I'm talking your whole meal was the size of your fist. That's what one serving of meat should be. That's 3 ounces of meat. Actually, it's your palm. That's what one serving of meat for like an average 2,000 calorie lifestyle would be. Think about that. And a lot of people, their whole meal looks like if you close a fist and you put food on a plate, it's about that big around. That's not much food. So you go into this food scarcity. You're not allowing any sugar at all, any carbs, or, only certain carbs like whole grain rice and, whatever, quinoa. We're going to go deeper into this tomorrow, but essentially what happens is beyond a shadow of a doubt that you intend to be on a diet again tomorrow. You're going to eat the same way tomorrow that you did today. So right now, we're on our diet. We just finished our first day of the diet, and what I just went over is what we ate. So right now, about 9:30 at night, we are freaking hungry. We are biologically hungry at this point, but we also are stressed because our body is lacking. And so we're going into cravings mode, right? And so what are we going to crave naturally as women? Chocolate, of course, sweets, sugar. Your pleasure centers were not lit up at all with the food you ate that day. But you're used to your pleasure centers lighting up because you often, before this, were eating Oreos, Doritos, caramellos. These are just my favorite, like, junk foods, if you will. Again, no good or bad foods, but like the foods with higher sugar counts, those are my faves. Doritos, Oreos, caramellos, whatever, like Milky Ways, whatever. You're craving that because A, you're biologically hungry, you're stressed out, and so that's when cravings hit. You say to yourself, I did really good today, but I'm like so hungry. Okay, so I'm just gonna have one Milky Way right now. Just one. And I'll get back to it tomorrow. Yeah, this is good. Or you know what? Actually, I'm just gonna have a half a Milky Way. I'll be good with that. So you go to your cabinet or wherever you keep your food, and maybe there's 4 Milky Ways sitting there. And you open the package, you take half the Milky Way, you start eating it. But you taste that freaking chocolate, and it's like a mouthgasm. You know what I mean? Like, you taste something that is so incredibly good. Your pleasure centers, your dopamine is firing, honey. Like, it is going off. You're salivating, like you're drooling. It's just so good. You can't even stop. That's the thing. You can't even stop. So you started with a half a Milky Way with the intention of just, it's a little treat because I did good on my diet today. Baby, all 4 of those Milky Ways that were sitting in front, they're gone. You blacked out. You don't know who this girl is. But by the end of that, those Milky Ways are gone. You done ate them all. Because you said, tomorrow I'm going back on this diet. You subconsciously know diets mean no Milky Ways. So also subconsciously triggered for you to eat all of those Milky Ways because food scarcity kicked in. Not said to you, she's never going to let me have a Milky Way again if we go on a diet. Eat them all now. And we binge the F out. We're hungry anyway. It's a setup. That's a setup, right? And we don't think we're ever going to get another Milky Way again because we're intending to diet. It's a setup. So when that, and again, I'll go deeper into food scarcity tomorrow. But like, I've already had clients say to me, if I fall off the wagon, and I binge or I even eat like a mini Milky Way, I just basically say, I already messed up. What's the point now? I'm just going to keep going until I feel good. And then the next morning, when you intend to start the diet, you have so much guilt and shame about the Milky Ways. You're like, you know what? F that. I'm not starting that diet again. Excuse me, from, what you did the night before, you're beating yourself up for it. So it ends up turning into a month-long binge this time. It's a restrict and a binge and a restrict and a binge and a diet and a binge and restrict and binge and fast and binge and restrict and binge and over and over and over again. It's this constant never-ending cycle. But it's what we've been taught, right? So it's so God-forsaken confusing when someone like me comes to you and says, listen, diets don't work. Diets don't work. Is there a way to eat to lose weight so that you don't have to restrict necessarily? Yeah, absolutely. It's really simple. It is, but I'm not giving y'all my lifestyle for free. I'm sorry. No. I'm working on copywriting that baby. But essentially what my lifestyle principles are, and I will give you this for free. You need to eat for your body. If your body, after a day of the egg whites, 3 meals that are no bigger than the size of my fist, if you're eating like that, and at the end of every meal, when you finish and you get that last bite in your mouth, if you are still hungry, you are not eating for your body. And if you think, well, I'm on a diet, I'm supposed to be kind of hungry after I eat, right? No, absolutely not. You should always end your meal feeling satisfied. If you are not satisfied at the end of your meal, you are not eating for your body. Eating for your body means you're listening to its cues. You're communicating with it. You're like, while you're eating, you're asking yourself, am I full yet? It's not just shove it all in And then after you're like, oh God, unbuttoning your pants. That's not listening to your body. That's not listening to your hunger or your fullness cues, right? That is just eating what's in front of you. Nah, we can't do that. So here's your action steps for tonight. And again, if you want to go watch that grainy ass video from yesterday, that's a really good one that will also go into why dieting doesn't work. I've given you more reasons now, but yesterday I did the Drano, band-aiding, all that stuff. There's a reason starting with products doesn't work. There's a reason starting with a diet that's restrictive doesn't work. There's a reason even starting with fitness doesn't work. There's all kinds of stuff that you have to address before you get into the lifestyle. The very first thing we do in my program is I do not give them their lifestyle first thing. Everyone gets their own lifestyle recommendations in my program, but that's not the first thing I do. I get to know them first, how they tick, how do they eat, what's their stress levels, how's their nervous system, are they even listening to their body? What do we have as a barrier first? Because if you already have a barrier and you go into a fitness journey, that fitness journey ends after 3 days of going to the gym? When the barrier is something like a limiting belief where you don't believe you're good enough, so you always self-sabotage everything you do, whether it's a diet, a lifestyle, a new job, it doesn't matter, you're just a saboteur, you just do it no matter what, then we need to get that limiting belief removed as our barrier first. And that requires getting to the bottom of it. Why do you not feel like you're good enough to lose weight? Why? What's the matter with you, girl? Right? And that is the part where yesterday I was talking about taking an actual apparatus that gets down into the drain and around the metal blockage, wraps something around the metal blockage, pulls the blockage out. That right there is pulling the blockage out. Because if you don't, the drain just keeps filling up. And again, you're pouring Drano on it. That's a diet. It might work for a day, might work for 2, and then you're throwing products on it. That's the plunger, or that's the snake or whatever. That might work for a couple days, you're extending your time. You might get a week out of both of them. But essentially, you will revisit the barrier again in no time if you don't address the actual barrier. What is it? So here are, let me see, how many are there? 1. Okay, so the first thing to assess is sleep. Do you sleep enough? Do you need more sleep? I think we all probably need more sleep, but start there. And then do you need to lower stress? Because if you're stressed, you won't sleep well. And if you don't sleep well, you'll be stressed. Okay. So those kind of go hand in hand. So sleep and stress go hand in hand. Assess those. Next, are you looking to food as a solution to your problems? So what that means is, how's your relationship with food? Do you get emotional and eat to solve your problems? I'm upset, so I'm just going to eat. I'll feel better. How's your relationship with food? Are you eating all of your meals, or are you skipping them in the name of dieting? Or are you skipping them because you're stressed? Or maybe you don't know why you're skipping meals, but you're just not hungry. If you wake up in the morning and you do not feel like eating breakfast within at least the first, hour or 2 of your day, chances are you're actually not hungry because your cortisol levels are super high. Did you know that? Who knew? Did you know that? Know that? Who knew that? My God, I can't talk. My mouth dropped when I heard that for the first time. I went and researched it. I'm like, is this real? Because I'm never hungry in the morning. And that's how I figured out that my stress levels were very high. So now I basically just trained myself to eat breakfast, and now it's just a natural habit. And I do actually feel hunger now in the morning. So you have to lower the stress, yes, but you also just start eating breakfast. Because if you're not eating enough, your body is inherently stressed because you're not eating enough, right? So it's like this constant cycling. Basically, what I'm asking you to do is to assess, how are you taking care of your body? Like, what is not working? What could be causing your body an immense amount of stress right now? Not sleeping is obviously going to cause a lot of stress. Not eating enough, overeating, binge eating, restricting, cycling through restricting and binging, on and off diets, eating, and you think you're eating enough, but you're eating under your basal metabolic rate. So you're in a super deficit. That is going to cause stress because your body is having to find stores and use those. That causes stress. And it doesn't innately cause stress because your body is having to find fat stores, because sometimes that's a good thing. But when it's in such a such a deficit, yes, that is going to cause stress. Like if you're essentially eating 500 carbs. I wish we could eat that much carbs in a day. Calories in a day, right? Your body is like just biologically hungry. That's a stressful state, especially if it's chronically hungry. We have to eat to support our organs. And I think that a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I don't know how to say it any other way to get through to people, but like we really have to eat to live. And I think that people just like live to eat. And I get it. Food tastes good. Food's great. But if you're eating a majority of very, very, very overly processed foods, again, there are no good foods and bad foods, but yes, there are nutritious foods. And there are some empty ones, right? Like there's some foods that really have no nutrition in them. There's some moderately nutritious, whatever. No moral value to food. That's one thing you have to stop like thinking. But if you are like, well, I'm eating enough, but you're literally eating fast food every single meal, overly processed food for every single meal, that's also going to cause your body a lot of stress as well. The least amount of stress for your body is to have great gut health. And in order to have great gut health, you need to eat whole foods as much as possible. So again, we're not dieting, but you really have to think about like, what is the natural, what is natural for humans to eat? Like, what did we eat when we were cave people? We hunted, we gathered fruit, veggies, nuts, meat, protein. We grew grains, fiber, right? So think about these things. We live in a time, in a day and age where anything can be created in a lab, but does that mean we want to actually eat it every day? Do we think that that's actually really supporting our body? Do we think that that's causing inflammation or reducing inflammation? There is nutrition that can actually help reduce inflammation in your body. But a lot of us, we are inflicting more inflammation on our bodies with what we're eating. So assess that. That is your action step for today. So you're wanting to go on these diets and stuff, but you're not starting with how are you caring for your body? Because if you're already not taking care of your body and then you immediately start a diet, you are so hurting yourself. And I don't want to see anyone continue to hurt themselves like this. And I know it's what we're taught. We're taught like the quickest meals you can find, eat those. And then when you get too fat, just start dieting. There's Weight Watchers. There's Optavia. Y'all, if I find out any of y'all are on Optavia, I'm going to personally call you myself and yell at you. Not really, but don't do that. I'm so serious. Again, overly processed, sodium through the roof. Do not do Optavia. I can't see a single comment. So if anyone said anything to me on here, I am sorry. I didn't respond or talk to you, but my comments have not been working at all when I go live. I think someone cursed me with my comments. So that's it for y'all. I hope that action step helps you. Go back and watch yesterday's because there's also an action step on yesterday's. Yep. There is. I was like, is it the same action step? What did I do? No, it's not. It's not. And then when you get to the end of the series, you will understand completely why dieting doesn't work for you and where you can start to do better and stop dieting. That is my goal, is just to get women off diets. And if you still want to lose weight, then I can help you do that too. But my first goal is to get women off diets so that you're supporting your body, so that you're lowering your stress, you're nurturing your nervous system, like you're living a better quality of life. I would be doing you such a disservice. I would be doing the world a disservice if I didn't share my knowledge, to be honest. Like, the craziness I used to put my body through, I'm ashamed of. Like, still to this day, I am ashamed of what I used to do to myself and to my body. And I just, if there's any 20-somethings on here and you end up hearing this and you've been dieting, like, girl, go tell all your friends, hey, did you know diets don't work? 95% of diets fail within 1 year. Within 1 year, 83% of people who diet gain their weight back and then some. Those are the statistics. So I love y'all. Don't diet. Go look at your whole health. Go look at every single piece of it. Your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health. Go look at all of it. And go look at your stress levels and start there. All right, I love y'all. Have a good one.